Welcome, everyone. This is the Stand Up and Stand Out show. I'm your host, Soldier Girl Kerry, and today we have another Black woman who has been making positive steps and contributions to the entire society, not just for the Black community. We have today with us Dr. Nadine Collins. She holds a PhD in educational administration with a focus on higher education and a doctoral dissertation with emphasis on women leaders in higher education. Among that, she has many accolades. Mostly what she is known for and been singled out for on this program today is that she is an international speaker. She's a coach for women. She's a Black author and an entrepreneur. So welcome to the program, Dr. Collins.
Thank you so much for having me, Carrie. I'm delighted to be here with you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, we have some very interesting viewers and listeners as well on this program, and we wanted to bring individuals like yourself so that you could share your story. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became this respected coach, but also international speaker and author.
Okay, so I grew up in a tiny island in the Caribbean. And when I was growing up, I was told, whether directly or indirectly, that to be successful, you needed to go to school. You needed to ensure that you do well in school so that you can get good grades to get a good job. While I was growing up also, it was customary that when a child is asked, what do you want to be? There were just a few options for us. It seemed like everybody would want to be a teacher, a lawyer, a nurse, a police officer or fireman, something like that, right? It was always limited to a particular few set of fields. And so while growing up, I never heard about anybody who was doing international speaking. I did not know, I didn't see an example of that. I didn't know anybody who had that as a job or anything. So I literally grew up knowing that I needed to take on some traditional role if I had to be successful, or traditional career or job if I had to be successful. And how my story unfolded, it's really the fact that I left high school I graduated on my 17th birthday. I worked for 9 years prior to going off to college because at the time, I could not afford to go to college because I was young, but I also didn't have the means to make it happen because age is really not the limit that you have to go to college, but it was about not having the means, the funds to do that. And when I was 26, I went off to college. I still didn't have the monies, but by that time I had developed such a strong faith, and I began to believe after I had an epiphany, or when I would believe, God speaking to me saying, this is where I need to go, that I would have to take that step and make it happen. And so I went off to college at the age of 26, having a lot of fears around, maybe failing. I thought I was going to fail because I had not been in the classroom for 9 years. And I thought I was going to be a failure. I was a little afraid of failing. And I remember when I went to my job the Sunday when I was sure that I was clear, that I got clarity and direction from God to go off to college, and I was sharing with the managing director of the bank where I worked at the time, I said to him, I was thinking of going off to college, and I said to him, but I'm afraid that I fail. And he looked at me and he said, Nadine, Joseph afraid of failure? And he laughed in my face. And the thing is, I went off to college. I created a strategy from semester 1 that would ensure that I would not fail, because the fear of failure was so big for me that I thought to myself, I need to create a strategy in advance so that failure does not become an option for me. And so when I went off to my classes, all of the lecturers gave us our course outlines, all of the assignments we'd have to do and everything. And I created my personal schedule that had every class on it, every assignment and their due dates. And I gave myself my due dates so that all of my assignments would be done way ahead of time. And so I created that strategy. And what I did was I would submit my assignments to my lecturers way in advance. not knowing that they were actually going to give me feedback. In my mind, I just wanted to ensure that I did it. So in fact, I would have done assignments even when I was not yet taught the particular topic, because I would read ahead of time and so on, because I had to keep myself accountable. And so I created that strategy of success, and it worked. What happened was my lecturers would give me back my papers with a little bit of feedback, and if I had any tweaks to make, I was able to do that. And I would, of course, I would get good grades because I was way ahead of the class all the time, reading and doing research and everything to make sure. And so that is the beginning of my story. It may not sound like the reason why I am an international speaker in demand, or even why I'm a coach or an author, but literally it is the beginning of that journey and that story, because that began to lay the foundation for what I am doing right now. And so I finished off undergrad, finished off my master's, went to do my PhD. Take note that at none of these stages did I even have the money to actually do anything. But I've learned some key lessons, and one of them I want to share with our viewers right now. And I say to my clients all the time, when they tell me, you know, Dr. Collins, I want to do this with you, or let's say I have a discovery call with a client, you know, I really want to do this, but I have no money. And I say to them, and even when I have clients who need to take the next step or go to that next level, I say to them, there was never a point in my life that I had the money to do anything that I wanted to do, but it has never prevented me from doing everything that I have done. And so I have learned that big lesson that as a Black entrepreneur, working predominantly, more than 99% of my clients are Black women globally. I work with women here in the US, I work with women in the UK, in Africa, in the Caribbean, and I realize a lot of times many of us don't step into the place where we need to be because we're allowing hindrances, external hindrances, especially like things like finances, to prevent us from taking steps of faith that would actually open doors to make us or push us into operating in our true purpose.
Definitely. There are some really good nuggets of wisdom there as well. I was taking a few notes just now because what you've said is very, very important, Dr. Collins, and it is something that a lot of people struggle with. And we've been asked throughout this program to highlight these key areas and to show individuals who've overcome them, and you're one such person. So thank you for sharing that. Now, in terms of the various programs, etc., that you do, I know you're very active in the field, as you said, in the US, in the UK, across the diaspora. How do you actually stay motivated as an educator, but also as an international speaker?
Right. So I think I forgot to mention a while ago how I actually got into public speaking, which is really weird because my most in-demand coaching program is my speaker mentorship program. But I was not trained to be a speaker. I'm an educator by profession. I had no background in that. I've never been part of, you know, a club. I've never been in the Toastmasters club. I've never been in a Rotary club, in any speaking clubs. And the thing is, I'm mentioning that specifically because sometimes there are many of us who actually keep ourselves back because we're believing in order for us to do something, we need to be a part of a particular group of people. And I think that's one of the greatest hindrances, even for women, especially for women. We hold ourselves back with all of these excuses. So how I got into public speaking, I will give that briefly, and then I will go into the motivation part of things, is that I was actually on vacation in London, by the way. And while I was there in London, I went, somebody reached out to me to ask me to speak at a program that they had. It was a big program. And I thought to myself, why would he reach out to me to speak for that particular event when I am not trained in that area? I found it to be a very weird request. And I was questioning the request, but then eventually I gave the response that I would do it. And then I decided to take on the speaking engagement. I was very fearful of what was I going to speak about? How was I going to put that together? How would the people respond when I do it? I did it. It was a great success. The following week, I went to do something else in another area, and I sang in that place. And then when I was finished singing, someone reached out to me saying, you know, I would like you to sing at a program that I have for women coming up in the following month, which would actually be October. And we're talking about like 2014. And I said to her, well, I'm on my way to the US. So I'm not sure how that's going to happen because your program is a month from today and I am actually here for about 1 more week. And so she said to me she would leave, but she would take my details. And while she was doing that, she said to me, you know, we've been praying about a speaker for our women's program and God said it's you, which was really weird for me because it went from her asking me to sing to now her asking me to be a speaker for a program. And I'm like, has she lost her mind? I mean, you don't even know me. You just heard me sing. So now I came back to the US and this woman was insistent. She called and she emailed me saying to me, it's your time to speak. God said it's your time to speak. And she insisted on that. She went through about 4 different channels to get monies to buy my ticket to get back to the UK. She did not get the money. She went to the bank, got a new credit card, activated it, called me here in the US, gave me the number, and the next week I was in the UK. That is literally how God sprinted me, or how I got pushed into international speaking. And it started there, but the rest has been history because so far I've traveled to over 70 countries. And even now, in the midst of this global pandemic, I am traveling virtually every day and all weekends I'm speaking. It's been insane. Now, what keeps me motivated to actually keep doing these things, to keep showing up online, to speak for programs, to keep working with women globally? What keeps me motivated? It's just the idea, because every day, to be honest, you don't always have that motivation per se. But what keeps me, I think, really grounded is the fact that I know that I'm operating in my true purpose. I know that the work that I'm doing right now with women, helping them to uncover their true purpose and to build successful lives around it, just knowing that me showing up, me being able to have a session or doing a live on Facebook, speaking to women, interacting in some way, me just knowing that me showing up is really going to inspire, empower, and influence women, it's what keeps me going. Because anytime I begin to feel a little down or a little demotivated, I remember the women who are out there who need to hear from me, who needs to be inspired, who needs to be empowered, etc. So this is literally what keeps me going, because every time I think about, you know, staying motivated, I think about these women in my coaching programs. I think about me being that positive, consistent, positive influence for them, me having the right energy to really keep them going. Just knowing I need to show up for my clients every day is really what keeps me going, because I know I'm making a difference. I know that as I pour into these women, they too are able to access a life that was not accessible to them before, or they thought was inaccessible to them. And so that really is what keeps me going, just knowing that I can help more women, I can work with women and really get them to step out of their comfort zones, step out of, you know, the roles that they were told they were supposed to play, and really step into their greatness without fear.
Thank you so much for sharing that as well. And it is quite a lot to take in, because do you know what? You are involved in so many different things, and you are motivational in so many different ways and to many different groups as well. And I know that this is not enough time to actually, you know, have everything compact, but we're doing well so far, I believe.
Awesome.
Now, in terms of words of encouragement, you've mentioned a few, but is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience, both male and female, who actually listen and watch this program, to give someone who may be considering a similar path or having challenges in a similar pathway as to what would be best for them to do? Some tips.
Yes, this is an awesome opportunity to just be able to empower our Black brothers and sisters, because we've been told for so long what we were not capable of doing. We've been told that because of the color of our skin, we are less than. We've been told that because of the color of our skin, that our thought process was less than. And I have learned that that is so far from the truth. I personally believe that our minds, the minds of Black people, are absolutely amazing. And that's the reason why I think we are such a threat sometimes in so many societies, because we don't even realize the power that we have. And so my encouragement to the viewers would be for you to realize that you are powerful, that you are not less than, that there's nothing about you that makes you lower than any other race, any other person, whatever it is. Also, if you feel as if, and note I say if you feel as if you're disadvantaged because of the color of your skin, because maybe you were born into a poor family. And so I want to tell you that poverty is no excuse to the power that you have. In fact, the truth is, you are born with that power. Your external circumstances may not always push you into your greatness early enough. But I could guarantee you that if you have the mindset that you are going to live the best life that you can, that you are going to become your best, you will step through, break through every obstacle. And I say that from personal experience because I mentioned to you earlier on that I did not have money to go off to college. All my friends left and went off to college, those whose parents were able to afford it and stuff. And I wasn't able to do that. Some of my closest friends went off to college and A-level and different things when we were all the same age because we graduated the same year, everything. And so one thing I want our viewers to understand is, number one, you are not disadvantaged because you're Black. In fact, you're blessed because you're Black. Because what it will do for you is to push you and should push you and propel you to be better. Because a lot of times we feel as if we're in the back end. God created you as he created every other person with the same mind, with 100 billion neurons in your brain. He did not give the capacity or brain power according to our race. And so we have to understand that we are created powerful. We have to also recognize that your circumstances does not determine your destiny. If you're born into a disadvantaged home, or if you're born into a poor home, whatever, that should be your motivation to make a change. It does not at all determine where you will end up. Because if I had to stay in my circumstances, I would still be in my country, working at the bank possibly, because I did not see a different future. What I want us to do is to be able to visualize a different future, recognize that you have access to what you visualize. The Bible actually says, I'm a Christian, so I'm giving you a little perspective from there. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so if you want to begin to change your circumstances, you need to begin to change the way that you think. Because as you change the way that you think, you are going to begin to change your circumstances, because you're not going to focus on what you can see, but you're going to focus on what you can visualize, because that is even more powerful than your present circumstance. So don't stay in your present circumstance. Don't allow your race or anything that has been said about you to influence the direction that you take. And that's another thing, because so many negative things are constantly said about Black people in the media. Sometimes we tend to prove what people say instead of working to show them that this is not who I am, because they have already stereotyped you as a Black person. This is who they say we are, but that's not true. This is a stereotype that is being said repeatedly, and it's psychological, because the more we hear that false statements, the more we're going to believe it's true if we are not intentional about thinking differently. And so I want us to begin to harness the power of our minds. As Black people, we were able to go through slavery and survive. We were the best at being slaves. Get that? Black people were not the first slaves. Black people were just the best at being slaves. Now, if you understand that, it means that anything you put your mind to do, you can be the best at it. Because we were the best at being slaves. We were the best at being able to handle all of the work and the pressure and the beatings and everything, because we're strong and we're powerful. And that's what I want to say to you today.
That is powerful and very profound. That you heard it here first from Dr. Nadine Collins. Create a strategy, keep yourself accountable, lay a foundation, visualize your circumstances, and be intentional. Thank you so much. And these are the points that I'm taking away for myself as well, Dr. Collins. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today, October Black History Month in the UK. And we are taking the time out to acknowledge the work and the effort and the dedication by individuals, by yourself in society. So all the best in your endeavors. I know you're a very busy person, especially with your books, and I'll be sure to advertise them as well throughout the program as we go along. Thank you so much again for joining us.
God bless. Thank you.